Christ be with me, Christ within me, Christ behind me, Christ before me, Christ beside me, Christ to win me, Christ to comfort and restore me, Christ beneath me, Christ above me, Christ in quiet, Christ in danger, Christ in hearts of all that love me, Christ in mouth of friend and stranger. Christ be with me, Christ within me, Christ behind me, Christ before me, Christ beside me, Christ to win me, Christ to comfort and restore me, Christ beneath me, Christ above me, Christ in quiet, Christ in danger, Christ in hearts of all that love me, Christ in mouth of friend and stranger. Christ be with me, Christ within me, Christ behind me, Christ before me, Christ beside me, Christ to win me, Christ to comfort and restore me, Christ beneath me, Christ above me, Christ in quiet, Christ in danger, Christ in hearts of all that love me, Christ in mouth of friend and stranger. Christ be with me, Christ within me, Christ behind me, Christ before me, Christ beside me, Christ to win me, Christ to comfort and restore me, Christ beneath me, Christ above me, Christ in quiet, Christ in danger, Christ in hearts of all that love me, Christ in mouth of friend and stranger.
For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places.
Good morning, everybody. How are you all? Yeah, it's one of those ones. It's one of those ones where it's been a little bit rushed, but I'm here anyway. So how many we've got? 87. Just share this everywhere, guys. Just let's get across it. What we're going to do this morning, we're going to look at the Advanced UK conference. Okay, we're going to have a quick look at it. We're going to get as far as we can. We're going to look at Ben Habib's speech or speeches, and just try and do a bit of analysis on them. I mean, I was there. I was absolutely massively impressed. It's going to obviously, we've got till 9 o'clock to do this. I think the speech goes on. I think it's about what is it? Let's have a look. It's it's about a 40 minute video. So what we'll probably do, we'll probably get about a half of it done today. I'll probably play the whole thing tomorrow when I'm doing the school run, along with some other bits and pieces. We'll put some treats together, little interviews, little bits of aggro with the left that was going on. And so let's just have a listen to what Ben had to say. And again, I've come back from that conference, and it really was a mini conference. I've come for that launch of policy, absolutely enthused. Richard must be getting old. He's getting later. Do you know what? To be honest with you, I've been taking everybody's advice because people have been, and I didn't do the Bible reading last night or the night before. Obviously, I was away over the weekend. I'm taking people's advice. I'm gonna try and get some decent rest because I think sleep's really important. Because I was getting to the stage where I was absolutely on my chin strap, as we used to say. I was going to say something else, but you'll know what I mean. So anyway, right, let's play this this video again. It was shot by our friend Wendell and edited by Tommy's video guys. So it's well put together, well shot film, but it's also the content and what Ben's got to say is just phenomenal. So let's have a look.
Gentlemen, to deliver the first of our policies, please welcome Party Leader Ben Habib.
Just going to stop there for a very, very special announcement. No school run this week, it's half term, so that's from the boss, so there you go.
Thank you very much, folks. Now, normally, if you've heard me speak, I do it without notes. I thought since I was going to give you our first couple of policies, I might note some of them down, and I've noted them down for you. So this is going to be a relatively easy speech, I hope, for me to make, not completely coming out of my mind. But before I start, can I just say, isn't it peculiar that a so-called racist party has a multi-ethnic leader? You lot clearly don't know what.
Guys, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to just keep interrupting this because that point there that Ben made, I'm going to say something. It's going to be controversial, okay? But it wouldn't be like me to say something controversial. I think part of the reason that certain sections of the right are not engaging with Ben is because they're, and I know this sounds, I'm going to get slated in the comments. People are going to say, Richard, you're sounding like a lefty. But I do have my suspicions that certain people are not engaging with Ben and with Advance because Ben is half Pakistani. And if that's the case, that says a lot more about them than it does about Advance or Ben or any of us who are completely supporting Ben. As you know, me and Paul Thorpe, since we've been doing our live streams, and not just me and Paul Thorpe, but our entire movement since we started, have been very, very clear about this. It is absolutely not about skin colour. It's not even about where you're originally from that much. It's about what your values are, and that's why we created the pledge. That's why every time we've done a different configuration of the movement. I mean, we've had so many different things. We had Veterans Against Terrorism. The football lads were doing their thing. We had UK Freedom Movement. We still got that. That's still bubbling under in the background. I'm going to hopefully breathe some life into that if I can get talking to some people that I can trust to get involved in that. So basically, what we've been doing for the past 8 years is culminated in what's happening now. And it does not matter what colour your skin is. It matters what you believe now and what you genuinely believe now and what you think of the UK. And that's, I hope that makes sense. I like that, Grandad Pete, Ben Habib, very, very good. I like that. I think Ben would like that as well. But yeah, I do think that, Gwen. I really do think that. Yeah, I mean, listen, absolutely. I tell you what, I mean, there's none more racist than those people that we saw across the road from the conference at the weekend. Those so-called anti-racist, you couldn't make it up, anti-fascists shouting Nazi scum off our streets at Jewish people. Go work that one out. You know, I came to the event with a Jewish friend, and he was really annoyed that when I went and had my little debate with the lefties, I didn't take him with him. But if you know this guy, he doesn't take any nonsense from people. So you know, next time I promise that if I'm going to go and have it with a left, he'll be at my shoulder. You know. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, I think there's something in that. I think there is something there, that there is a little bit of latent racism, to say the least. And of course, because obviously racism has been so badly used and misused by the left and by the liberal elite to silence any dissent, when you say something like I've just said, then people go into meltdown mode on the right, saying, "Oh, you're just like the rest of them." But I'm not, and I'll speak my mind. And if it's not popular, do you know what? I don't really care. I don't care what people think of me. Whatever goes in there comes out there. That's just the way I am, and people either love it or they hate it. Okay, right, let's crack on, because I know there's loads of people getting ready for work and so on and so forth. Yeah. So let's carry on with Ben's speech.
What you signed up for. But on a more serious note, there are some anti-racist people outside, and the reason we were slightly delayed starting this conference was because they're blocking our live stream signal, and we were trying to get that fixed. So for all their moral correctitude, actually they would wish to silence us. They wish to silence what we have to say. We will not let them silence us. Now, when I first indicated on the 30th of June 2025 that I was considering launching a political party, I set two hurdles for the party. The first was that we would have to hit 30,000 members. And I thought that might be a get-out-of-jail-free card, that I wouldn't hit it and that I could retire back to my normal life and say, well, I gave it a shot, it didn't work. Within a couple of months, we hit our target. And if you had said to me then that in 6 months, Ben, you will have nearly 40,000 members, you would have fought your first council by-election and got 12.3% in it. Where's the wonderful Alex Stevenson? And that you, at the time of speaking on your first policy, you would have a candidate standing in a by-election that has got so riled up my erstwhile party that they've been denouncing him non-stop on X. I won't name the party, I think you can guess. But for all the banging of drums that party does about freedom of speech, actually, it stands against it. It wishes to silence Nick Buckley. How astonishing it must have been for them that a political party wished to stand a candidate in an election. How bizarre a concept is that? But as Nick said, whatever happens in that by-election actually won't make a jot of a difference on the national stage, but in one respect. If we do well in that by-election, it will send a seismic shock through Westminster.
And that I think is a very, very valid point there. A very, very valid point. If we do well in, what is it, Garston, whatever it is, up in Manchester there, and no disrespect to the people in that constituency, I'm sure you haven't heard the constituency I live in, but if you do well in the constituency in Manchester where the by-election is, let me know in the comments what they call that. And there's a good turnout for Advance, and they get 5%, 10% of the vote after 2 months as a political party. That is a phenomenal achievement, because it's great having conferences and get loads of people that we know and love involved. It's all about the ground game. And this is where I think we need to be really, really working with the grassroots. And if we cannot alienate the grassroots in any way, shape or form. So we need to work with grassroots. But that's it. Denton and Gorton. I'll say that 16 times, I'll still forget. Gorton and Denton, or Denton and Gorton. Oh, you're trying to confuse me now, guys. Gorton and Denton. Okay, let's just say Gorton, okay? Nick Buckley knows because Nick lived there, so Nick's a local lad. Let's just hope that they do really well up there. I don't know what sort of ground game they've got. Advance got 12.3% in the Amber Valley election, which is great. But we obviously need more, because we need to really be on a fast track like has never been seen before. So yeah, that's it, Kelly. Let's hope it's massive. So yeah. Right. Okay. Let's crack on with the speech.
So it was absolutely vital we stand. Absolutely vital, and that's why they didn't want us to do it. So to the extent that any of you have got free time coming up over the next couple of weeks, I plead to you, please go up to Gorton and Denton, support Nick Buckley, and let's win this by-election. Now, before I start on the first policy, I do just want to thank a few people. I want to thank the Emmanuel Centre particularly, because...
Just while Ben's doing his thank yous, I think it's really important that this message gets out. And I'm not doing this for egotistical reasons, for people to see my ugly mug. I'm doing it because I really think that we need to get this messaging to as wide an audience as possible. People need to get to know Ben Habib as the party leader. He is the talisman. Again, nobody's indispensable and nobody's irreplaceable, but there are people like Ben who are pretty much on that level where without them, you've got a big problem. So we need to get Ben known in every single household up and down this country in the next 3 years. That is vitally, vitally important. So do me a favor, guys, just share this video. Share this video with whoever you can. Sorry, it's Gorton and Denton. So, and the other thing, as Ben's saying, if you're in the Greater Manchester area, get out, get involved, go and grab some leaflets from somewhere and start sticking them through people's doors, asking people if they'll vote for Advance UK, telling your friends and neighbours to get involved and vote for Advance UK. It's really important. I mean, I don't know, but I mean, I think one of the problems is not hardly any of us speak to our neighbours anymore, and some of us don't have that many friends either. That's sometimes by design, and not because we want to have a lot of friends, but some of us just very, 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 very untrusting of a lot of people for a lot of reasons. But anyway, I digress. Totally digressing there. Okay, let's crack on with Ben.
The location of this venue was given away earlier this week, and following the disclosure of the location, they were inundated with the so-called anti-hate people trying to shut us down, the anti-racists trying to shut us down, and they held their ground. And I'm very grateful to them. The only way we're going to prevail, ladies and gentlemen, is if we all hold our ground. We must not bend. We must keep standing up, whatever they do and whatever they say. I would also like to thank, you've heard her name a few times, some of you know who she is. Luckily for those of you who don't, she's here, Floss. Floss, stand up, be counted. This venue, this event wouldn't have taken place without Floss. I also want to thank she can be a bit of a pain sometimes, but she got this together. I want to thank Françoise as well, who's head of events. Françoise is here somewhere, who's been instrumental in doing this. And then I want to thank David Rhodes, who habitually repeatedly tells me he wants to take a back seat. Well, for someone who wants to...
Okay, people are just asking who those personalities are. Floss is an absolute dynamo. I mean, there's, you think I'm hyper. There's no off switch. There's no off switch on Floss whatsoever. She goes and goes and goes, and she is like Ben's, I was going to say right-hand man. Well, she does the work of 10 men. She's an absolutely incredible person. And she's been the oh man, I mean, she gets stuff done. She gets stuff done, and she just doesn't stop. She's great. And she's a very nice person as well. So Floss is great. Before you ask who David Rose, I'll tell you who David Rose is. David Rose, between David and Ben, they have brains the size of 3 planets, okay? They are super intelligent, both super nice people. Oh, I hate talking like that. That's sounding like lefties talk like that. Anyway, they're both very nice people. They're both very, very genuine people, but very, very intelligent, very articulate, and very, very well read. And also, they pick things up extremely quickly and are able to make decisions. That's why, without going into too much detail, they're both very, very successful men. Okay, and yeah, so this is the David and Ben and a few other people are really the sort of the people who can get things done. David, Ben and Floss, they're the people, and obviously Richard Thompson as well. There's a very good team there in Advance UK, and that's why I'm so confident about what's happening. And so yeah, anyway, I digress a little bit, but I think it's really important to know who's who in Advance UK, and know that when you get involved in the party, there's nothing hidden, there's nothing secret. It's a genuine team of genuinely good people. Okay.
Take a back seat. He's heading up the policy development of Advance UK. He's a phenomenal member of our college, and without him we wouldn't have what I'm about to disclose to you. And I'd like, last of all, if I may, to thank the college for the hard work that they do behind the scenes. What I'm going to show you now is just a synopsis of our draft policies. This is not comprehensive. It took me ages poring through the document they produced to actually pick out the key bits that I thought I could get through in now 18 minutes that I've got left to speak to you. They are in draft because as we move forward between now and the next general election, we are going to continue to refine our policies. We're going to continue to make the public aware of what those policies are, so that by the time we get to 2028, 2029, we have a perfect, or as close as perfect, set of policies that have been thought through in great detail, and we're going to back it up with draft legislation. That draft legislation will be appended to our manifesto, and for those of the public who wish to read it, the exact direction of travel that we will set for this country will be known. There will be no ambiguity in our policies. It won't be a manifesto put together within 3 weeks. Isn't it peculiar, ladies and gentlemen, that Political parties stand for government and they produce a manifesto 2 or 3 weeks before the election full of nonsense, none of which ever gets delivered. That has to change. And so we will have draft legislation. And the benefit of having draft legislation, there's multiple benefits. The first of which is that the British people know precisely what it is we're going to do, so we can't let them down. We've made it crystal clear. The next benefit, and this is really important, is that the Lords can't interfere with it. The civil service can't interfere with it. When I walk into the Commons in May 2029 for the first time as Prime Minister of this country, that is the risk of being a leader of a political party. You may end up as Prime Minister, but when I walk into the Commons, I'm going to thump this document down, this draft legislation, and I'm going to look across to the opposite benches, and I'm going to address the Lords, the civil service and the British people, and I'm going to thump this document down and say, I have the democratic backing of the British people to deliver this agenda. We have one last chance to save this country. I think I can't remember who said it earlier, but it took 1,000 years to build this great country. It's taken 30 years to trash it. And we have to save it, and save it we will. Now, the first policy that we were going to draft was on immigration, because that is the thing that really exercises the people's minds. 80% of people in this country put immigration at the top of their concern list. But as we were drafting it, a couple of things happened. The first thing was that we realized, the group of people that were drafting it and myself, that actually there's something more fundamental that has to underpin not just our immigration policy, but all our policies. It is who we are. What are we as a country? Who are we? What do we wish to be? How do we wish to move forward? Unless you've established that principle, those sets of principles, you're at sea making other policies. You won't know how to make the other policies you need to make to save the United Kingdom if you can't first establish who we are. And I'm afraid, as much as Keir Starmer and the liberal globalist lunatics would like to categorize British culture as something of an inferior debate. They call it the culture wars. We're not going to entertain the culture wars. As much as they might wish to categorize it as that, actually British culture is what we're fighting for.
I mean, this is key. This is key to what this battle is that we are fighting, and that's why, you know, we occupy a very, very narrow strip of land, not a narrow strip of land like the Gaza Strip, which people in the left seem to be obsessed about. But no, we ideologically and culturally and politically and philosophically and spiritually occupy a very, very narrow strip of land. And that narrow strip of land is what has made the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland such an amazing and successful country. And that's what we've got to encapsulate. And that's why, again, I keep going back to the pledge. If you look at the pledge, a lot of what you'll see in Advance UK is pretty much word for word out of the pledge. And these ideas that have been honed for the past 10 years. And I think we've got to realise that. We've got to realise that the culture of the UK is something that can be expressed. The political philosophy of Advance can be expressed. And if you want to have a look, and again, if someone can just drop the link in the description, go to thepledge.org.uk, and you'll get a very good idea of what's going to be coming down the road from Advance UK, because the same brain the size of a planet that wrote the pledge is working on policy for Advance UK. So very, very important. But yeah, let's crack on. I'm meeting up with 12 ex-colleagues. That is brilliant. Terry, that is absolutely superb. Absolutely superb. That is such a brilliant idea. Such a brilliant idea.
When we went to war against Hitler, we didn't go to war for economic advancement. We went to war to save our way of life, to save our constitution, our culture, our people. And we are at that point again. There aren't guns being fired, but we're at a point where we have to fight that same battle for our way of life. So, the government, in its desire to set aside this nation, has defined cultural nationalism as far right. How many of you in this room were aware of that before I just told it to you? A few. The government of the United Kingdom has denounced British culture. If you look up far-right terrorism, you will find that it defines it as violence perpetrated in the pursuit of far-right ideologies, and one far-right ideology that it cites is cultural nationalism. Without a culture...
that is absolutely what he's saying. Of course, it's true because he's not going to tell a lie, but that is absolutely true. In the prevent strategy, it covers 3 different strands of what they call the far right, and one of them is is cultural nationalism, which would be believed and followed by about 70 to 80% of British people, and the people that don't believe that don't believe it because they're absolute idiots. So, excuse me. Okay, there you go. Nick Buckley's volunteer help is listed on Advance UK website. So if people can help out over the next 2 weekends, your help will be appreciated. And let's go to the Advance UK website and get that link in here as well. Okay, so it is, just so everybody remembers, I'm going to drop it in the stream. advanceuk.org.uk. Okay, June, thanks very much for that. So Nick Buckley's volunteer help is listed on Advance UK website, so people can help out over the next 2 weekends. I think this could be something. If let's just say, I don't know how many people in this chat are from the north of England, right? But if you're from anywhere between Liverpool and Leeds, get to Manchester. Get to Manchester at the weekend for the next 2 weekends, and get out there and support Nick. Find out who you can work with, what you can do, and let's just do it. Let's get volunteers. I don't know how many people watching this or seeing this back will be able to do that. I've got friends in Manchester I haven't spoken to for years, actually. Big Dave up there, so I'm going to have to speak to Dave. Haven't been in touch for a long time. But yeah, let's get all this support for Nick Buckley sorted out.
We have no nation state, and they would like to diminish our culture, tell us that those of us who believe in it are far right, and at the same time tell us that cultures coming from abroad should be celebrated, championed, have a protective cloak put around them, and we should take the knee to their cultures. Enough of that. They have traduced our culture to such an extent that actually when people are asked, well, what does it mean to be British? We're reduced to ridiculous platitudes such as, well, being nice, being tolerant. Well, it's a hell of a lot more muscular than that, I have to remind people.
Again, I thought that was a great point. You don't have to be nice to be British, because if being nice was a qualifying instruction for being British, I wouldn't be British. Okay, nice people don't win wars. Okay, people who are committed, who are dedicated, who are willing to do what needs to be done, they win wars, not nice people. And nice people didn't build Britain. People who worked hard, people with hard hands and yes, soft hearts. But it's not about niceness. It's not about tolerance either. You know, tolerance is a complete myth. How can you tolerate evil? We shouldn't tolerate evil at all, and that's the problem, that people have completely missed the point. And again, it's down to, you know, I remember if you look at people like David Cameron, I wonder. I'm not even going to go into that, but anyway.
British culture is a rich, woven web of brilliance. And I've highlighted a few points on the screen, as you can see. Morality, customs, behaviors, laws, art, music, architecture, a shared history, shared values, language. Why do they wish to denounce our national heroes? Because they want to cut our connection with our history, our common history. Why do they wish to decolonize the English language? Because if they can control language, they can denounce our culture. Why do they make laws like like bringing into the body of British law the European Convention of Human Rights, the Human Rights Act? Because they want to set aside what it means to be a British citizen. This is the effect of 30 years of government policy. Well, it has to stop now. We know what British culture is. Sorry, I'm pointing at a screen down there because I can see what you can see up there, down there. And all of you will recognize what those words mean, and they play into each other. Morality manifests itself in our art. Our history manifests itself in art, in music, our architecture, our great forefathers who built wonderful buildings and statues, who now we're told are racist and they need to come down. That is just a lie. It is an attack on our culture. Culture is the foundational building block. It is the glue that allows us to identify who we are. Someone asked me before I came in to speak to you, are you a bit nervous addressing 1,000 people in the Emmanuel Center? And I thought about it for a second, and actually I wasn't nervous at all. And why wasn't I nervous? Because I knew I was coming to address a body of people who share my life vision.
And I think that what Ben said there is absolutely true. What I got from that meeting, I didn't meet everybody in the room. I think some people were avoiding me, but the people I did meet, were so positive, and it was like a family reunion. Like I say, there's loads of people that, you know, I think Pete McElvenna sat next to Pete, you know, sitting with just people that I'd known for years, you know, and it was like being at a family party. It was great. It was really, really good. But we're all on the same page. We all know what we want. And like I say, we're in that sweet spot. I know that the political philosophy of Advance UK is the political philosophy that will win this country back. I'm not interested in if Rupert Lowe doesn't join, I'm not interested in Rupert and what he's doing. Just not interested. Sorry, guys. If he's not standing with Advance UK, if he starts another political party, I'm not interested. If he doesn't start another political party and he just does restore, it's not going to achieve anything. Not interested. Unless he joins Advance UK, I'm not interested in Rupert. I'm not interested in Reform. I'm not interested in the Tory party. I'm not interested in any of the rest of them. Advance UK is it for me. Politically, if this project doesn't work, I'm done with politics. I'll just, you know, become a little monk and go and sit on an island somewhere and pray and read my Bible and fast. You know, which I could probably do with doing. But you know, this is what we've got to realize. This is the last chance saloon. This is the best it's going to get in terms of a political party and a political philosophy. And I agree. I agree with that. And again, I'm not going to go too much against Rupert at the minute because he hasn't said he's going to do another political party. We don't know exactly what he's going to do. But if he does do a political party, then to me, the gloves are off. The gloves are off. I'll be an attack dog. I'll savage him and everybody around him in a metaphorical sense. I will have my Rottweiler teeth in their backsides. That's what I'm going to do if they start another political party. So anyway, but hopefully they don't. Hopefully they see sense, whoever it is that's in his ear. Oh dear, it's always good to be in conflict, isn't it? Right, okay.
We are of the same culture. You are our family and I am your family. And that's how it has to be.
I totally, totally agree with that, Sally. I think absolutely, and again, I'm not involved in that side of things with Advance. I don't know what the security situation is in terms of the party. I'm sure they have people that are working on that, but I think that's absolutely right. We do need. Um, oh, Jenny, uh, yeah. I'll send that off to him. I'll send that across to Ben. So Ben's going to have himself a fan club. Brilliant. Well, Rottweilers don't have teeth like a broken row of Guinness bottles. I love that saying. There's some great sayings in Northern Ireland, and he's got a face like a Lurgan spade. He's got he's got a row of teeth like he's got teeth like a row of broken Guinness bottles. Oh dear, dear, dear. Little amuses the innocent, eh?
There's something that I do want to just focus on a little bit. We tend to think of culture separately from law. And law has been used to defeat British culture. I touched on the Human Rights Act. But there's been a whole body of law that's been put into place, including, for example, defining far right as believing in this country's culture. There's been a whole body of law that has been attacking our culture. And if you have a body of law that informs you that you need to behave in a particular way, then you start behaving in that way because you don't want to break the law. And when you start behaving in that way, you adopt this new culture that the government is forcing down our throats, this multiculturalism, the ending of what you and I might identify as British culture. Law is upstream of culture, which is upstream of experience, which reinforces culture, which then informs parliamentarians on how to make law. There is a circle, and we have to reverse the circle they've been pushing down our throats for the last 30 years. So just to sum up, our culture is freedom, nation state, duty and patriotism. Being a British citizen is a huge privilege, but it comes with duty. You owe this country something for being a citizen. As Andy died, I think he said he's served 10 years in the paras. That is fulfilling your duty.
Again, from my point of view, to see fairly young veterans, younger than me anyway, in very prominent roles in Advance UK is absolutely fantastic. And this is a really important point. Andy Dye gave the most, I forgot Andy's name earlier on the week, so apologies, Andy. Andy gave the most fantastic speech at that conference. It was absolutely a masterpiece. And again, just a guy that's just appeared on the scene. And I think that's brilliant. And I was so impressed. Richard Thompson, what a guy. I've said this before, but I've always rated Royal Marine Commandos, right? The paras, to me, they just jump out of planes and they run a bit faster maybe than we do, but, as normal infantry. But I was never a massive parachute regiment fan, right? But there's reasons for that. There are personal reasons for that. One being that a para put a pint glass into the back of my head when I was 18 years old and nearly caved my skull in. But I can't blame all paras for that. But you do kind of remember those things. Anyway, so where was I going with that? I don't know how I digressed. Yeah. So we had Andy Dye, who was a paratrooper. We've got Richard Thompson, who was an ex-Royal Marine Commando. There's other people who are ex-military. Obviously, I was ex-military. We've got RAF people, all sorts of good ex-military people in the party. And to me, veterans that are motivated and that get what needs to be done are some of the best people that you can have around you.
I've had a great life. I'm trying to fulfill my duty now by giving back to the British people. And you're all here because you're fulfilling your duty, because you see we're imperiled. That sense of, that contract between to this country, you are going to save this country through that cultural commitment. I want to talk about aspiration and merit as well. We've forgotten what aspiration is. Every time something goes wrong, we look at the state and say, well, can you please save us? Can you do something? Can you spend more money? We've got 8 million people out of a workforce of 35 million who are surviving on universal credit. And yet we keep saying we haven't got enough people in the economy, we've got to take in more migrants. It is ridiculous. We need aspiration reinstalled in the United Kingdom so people wish to come off dependency, wish to go into work, and we're going to reveal a couple of those policies in a second that's going to help do that. But as I said, law comes upstream of culture, and there are some fundamental legal changes that we would do on the first day in government. The first thing we would do, and it's kind of ironic, really, that we would be doing this, because it was us that set up the European Convention of Human Rights.
Yeah, Gareth, I would encourage everybody. I don't know what I don't think I got his speech because I was in. One of the problems is when you go there with a camera, if you're filming, you're not focused on the speech because you're focused on filming. So I was sitting there with my camera when the really good speeches came on. That's where I've pulled this from Wendell and Tommy's guys. When the really good speeches came on, I was too busy clapping like a seal and jumping up and down to actually do any filming properly. So I got some bits of footage, but yeah, get having a look at Andy Dye's speech. It was absolutely fantastic, and oh yeah, Ricky Doolan's speech was great as well. Ricky, I've got an interview with Ricky coming later on in the week. That we did at the event. So yeah, Ricky did a great job too. So look, there's a lot of really good people in this setup. And right, guys, let's play a little bit more. I'm gonna finish this off in about 5 minutes and play everybody's favorite song, and everybody knows what that is. Okay.
Right. I can't remember again which brilliant speaker earlier said that some European countries are grateful for us having saved them from the grip of Nazi tyranny. But we set up the ECHR not because the United Kingdom needed to be policed, its human rights needed to be policed. Our human rights have existed for over 1,000 years. It was the Europeans who needed the European Convention of Human Rights because they just can't help tearing themselves apart. But that European Convention of Human Rights has now been put into such...
Now, I think this, Trow Girl, this is a very important point. This is a very important point. And this is where I think we need to be very careful. And Advance need to be very careful as well. And I'll explain exactly what I mean. Obviously, there are a lot of people that are chances. A lot of migrants claiming benefits shouldn't be getting benefits. There's a lot of people who are absolutely gaming the system. But the problem is the people that game the system know how to do it. And what happens with every one of these systems is the people who are the weakest and least able to defend themselves, if they get anything slightly wrong in what they're doing in terms of claiming benefits, and sometimes people really need those benefits to have any quality of life. And I've always been of the mind that if someone's really struggling, a community, a society, and a country, if they can help them and give them a hand up and get them back on the feet, they should. The problem is when people languish and don't get back on the feet. But of course, there are vulnerable people that, I used to laugh at people with mental health issues, right? And I used to not laugh at them, but I didn't take it seriously. And then I had mental health issues, right? Never really had them before. I had really serious mental health issues. I'm not going to go into the reasons, but and now I never claimed benefits, but that's because I didn't actually need to, right? Because I had a bit of money myself. But there was probably a period a few years ago where I was literally not able to work to my full ability purely and simply because of my mental health. Okay, I'm just being honest about that. And if people have that long term and they don't have any financial buffer, they can get into real difficulties really, really quickly. So I'm with you on this, Trow Girl. I think we need to be very, very careful how we implement cuts to benefits. And I'm not a lefty. Again, a lot of people probably say, Richard, what are you, some sort of communist? No, I'm not. I believe, if someone doesn't work, they shouldn't eat. That's what the Bible says. I think that's true, right? But if someone can't work because of a disability, mental or physical, then that's a different kettle of fish. And everybody has their breaking points, physically and mentally. So, I think all of this has got to be done with compassion when you're dealing with the benefit system. But there are a lot of people who are, I know so many people who are flying about the country in lovely new cars, paid for by the taxpayer, DLA cars, because they've got a relative who's got a disability, and the car isn't being used by the relative, it's been used by family members. So anyway, I'm going off on a tangent, but everyone knows what I'm talking about. So it has to be fair, but how do you get it fair when you're dealing with bureaucrats? It's a very difficult situation. The reality is that the benefits bill is massive. And I think if you just say anybody that's come here illegally, anybody that's not a British resident, they don't get benefits. But if you come here even to work, unless you're born here or whatever, I don't know. I think there's a lot of things that can be done to stop foreigners coming here and getting our benefits. That needs to stop straight away. So that would save a lot of money. And then you need to care for the people that are genuinely vulnerable, like Trow Girl's saying, are genuinely in having difficulties. Hope that makes sense. That's where I'm coming from. And I think the people that are running Advance, hopefully that's where they're at as well. They are good people, so I'm sure if they weren't if they weren't there, they could be yeah, and then there you go. I have enough family members who game the system. There's a lot of people gaming the system. And that's, how do you do that? This is a very good point, Shirley. The true vulnerable and disabled should always be helped. It's the people who steal from the system, who don't need help, are the real problem. That's what I believe. And that's what we've got to work out. We've got to find out a way of doing that, okay? Right, okay, I'm going to play a song that you all know and love. So let's find this little song. This is the right one.
Those heroes brave and bold, where are the men who bled and died in foreign wars untold? The men who conquered all and stood for faith and love, the men who looked to guidance from the Father up above. Where are the men of England, the heroes brave and bold, the men who stood for faith and truth, whose honor wasn't sold? England, when rape it so depraved, took the daughters of our nation, who forever they enslaved. What of the men of England that looked the other way? They took the country shilling, they never made their play. Where are the men of England, the heroes brave and bold, the men who stood for faith and truth, whose honor wasn't sold? vice squad, they all seemed quite amused, as at the hands of rape gangs our daughters were abused. The politicians blamed the lads who stood up one and all, but most of all blamed Tommy, who always took the fall. Where are the men of England, the heroes brave and bold, the men who stood for faith and truth, whose honor wasn't sold? Where are you, men of England? For now we all must stand. The future of our children is still within your hand. The future not yet written for this green and pleasant land. The future of our children is still within your hand. The future not yet written for this green and pleasant land.
This morning, my friends, I asked a question. This morning. I said, where are the men of England? You're here! You're here! You're here!
Well, there we go, guys. I will pick up again tomorrow with Ben. Let's say I'll have to... Oh, in fact, no, this, like... I was reliably informed by someone who knows about these things that there is no... there's no half term... No, there's no school run because it's half term this week. So there we go. Oh, that video. Yeah, we need to find that. I think Paul Thorpe's got a copy of that, so we'll get that. Richard, I've left the UK and I can't get a mortgage with foreign income. There's literally no reason for me to come back and invest. Could this change with advance to entice expats back? That's a good point. Again, very good point. There needs to be a way of enticing them back. Yeah, I like that idea. No, Casida, do you know what? I wish that was me singing. If that was me singing, my career would have taken a whole different path. I would love to be able to sing like that. If anyone can give singing lessons and get me singing like that, send me an email. You've got the email address. It's actually, I need to put that in the chat. But yeah, send me an email, and if you can get me singing lessons, teach me how to sing. I would love to be able to sing. Okay, guys. See you all tomorrow. Have a great one. That was a good show, I think. It's hard to beat Ben. So let's do it all again tomorrow. See you guys.